much, did you?
Yeah. Okay, there he goes. Great.
Welcome to the GITV Football Forecast Show. I'm here with Buster Crumpton, and I'm your host, Chuck Wegman. Join you this week before Clarke Central takes on the Marist War Eagles Friday night at 7:30 right here at Billy Henderson Stadium. And Buster, boy, we had a scrimmage last week, of course, Thursday night against North Oconee, and Coach Riles learned some things, Coach Self learned some things, but all in all, not a bad night. I mean, we didn't show much, but we learned we got to learn some things also.
Well, I think we did learn some things. We learned those guys just right there around Highway 53 can play a little football.
Oh, there's no doubt. They're a good ball club.
They brought it.
Yeah.
I mean, they were fast on defense. They hit us hard when we were trying to make plays, and my hat's off to all you Titan fans out there. You North Oconee guys are a scary bunch, and I think they're going to do well. They proved why they were 11-1 last year, in my opinion. I mean, they brought it.
No doubt about it.
But now we got to focus our attention to the big blue bully that's coming to town this Friday, and that's Marist.
Yeah, the Marist War Eagles, traditional power in the state of Georgia, and
100 years of football.
No doubt about it. And of course, Quad A have been just a major power year in and year out.
And I think a stat I read the other day, 29 consecutive years of making the playoffs.
That's something to be said for that.
It's crazy.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
But yeah, we got some good stuff, Chuck. Why don't you get us into all this stuff we want to talk about?
Let's kind of start off with what's going on around the state.
All right.
We're going to talk about 8-5A here in just a second, but boy, there's some attractive ball games around the state where Georgia teams are going out of state to play, and it's just wonderful to see. AC Flora from South Carolina is coming over to take on North Gwinnett.
Wow.
Another South Carolina power taking on a Georgia power.
Well, you know, North Gwinnett, I think last year played another team from the Carolinas, that Burns team, and then that was a good game. But North Gwinnett, they don't shy away from
Of course,
nobody.
North Gwinnett opened up last week in the Corky Kell Classic in the Georgia Dome with a big victory, upset victory over Colquitt County.
Right. Colquitt County was predicted to do a lot of stuff. But, you know, anytime that Corky Kell thing, you put two good teams together in that dome and the atmosphere, anything can happen.
No doubt about it. And then my old stomping ground, South Effingham High School, is going across the river to take on Bluffton, South Carolina, about where my brother Mike lives over there, which is going to be, that should be a wonderful rivalry game every year.
Now, where's that South Effingham bunch? Is that Rankin or is that Springfield or what part of that area?
You know, they actually call that a Guyton address.
Guyton.
But it is not too far from Rankin.
I think there's only one road that goes through Guyton, and it's heading south towards Savannah. So.
Georgia 17, that's it. There you go. Also, Eagles Landing Christian is taking on Briarwood Christian over in Alabama. Lincoln County is crossing the river to go over to McCormick, South Carolina, and I think that's a traditional ball game.
Right. Yeah, a lot of these communities that live on them state lines, you find a lot of that stuff that they cross over and play. And
you probably wouldn't be surprised if I told you that Coach down there is 19-1 versus McCormick in his years of playing them. So. Then Miami Central is coming up to take on Grayson, which is
I think that's your game of the week possibly right there. That one team's #1 in USA Today, the other one's #1 in ESPN. I mean, that's crazy.
It's going to be,
and they're on the same field.
Good ball game. And Grayson had a victory last weekend also.
Right.
And then North Augusta, South Carolina is taking on Valdosta. That ball game also going to be played over at North Gwinnett. So got a lot going on there. And then Dade County is coming on to take on North Sand Mountain, Alabama.
Wow. You just and thank goodness for the internet stuff and things like we're doing at GITV now, because a lot of this stuff you can go watch at your convenience.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And there's a lot of great games that you just named off, and I'm sure there's more.
Well, Oxford, Alabama's traveling over across the Alabama line into Georgia to take on Carrollton. You got Pine Forest, Florida, coming up to take on Stevenson, which ought to be a good ball game. And Rayburn, Alabama, taking on Mount Zion. And Savannah Country Day is going to cross the river over to take on Ridgeland, Hardyville, South Carolina.
Wow.
So some good ball games to check out. Some other ball games going on within the state, traveling across state to take on some other teams. But let's look at 8-5A, Buster. First year now for 8-5A, and Gainesville coming in to the region, and they're going to open up with West Forsyth, which ought to be a good ball game. That's pretty much of a rivalry right there.
Right, and on the Maxwell ratings, the Gainesville Red Elephants is right up there, pick number 2 in this region, right behind Flowery Branch. Our Gladiators right in there at number 3, and I think the interesting thing that the Maxwell folks think is that these 3 teams are probably going to wind up in a 3-way tie, and that's exactly what we had last year in this region. There's Heritage floating around there again at 4, Loganville in 5th, Appalachia in 6th. And I mean, I just see a lot of those same teams that anybody could be anywhere in that bunch. Anybody could play their best game and ruin somebody's season. Remember, Appalachia started 0-4 last year.
Yeah.
And but the 5A, the 8-5A, and I keep wanting to say 8 quad A, but the 8-5A region, I think, is one of the toughest regions in the state.
Well, when you look at those Maxwell ratings, Gainesville, Flowery Branch, Gainesville, and Clarke Central, less than, 2 percentage points separate the 2 teams as far as the ratings go. Then you drop off down to another 5 to 6 points below for number 14, which is Heritage. You can't get much closer than that.
Right, and we found out last year Heritage wasn't that far back from any of us, and went up there on the road, jumped out to a 14-0 lead. They wound up coming away with a win, 17-14. So, yeah, I really think it's going to have an SEC flavor to it this year. The region, I think we're going to beat each other up. I think by the end of the season, when a lot of games on the line, where we go through that stretch where we play Gainesville and Flowery Branch back-to-back, there's going to be a lot of wounded warriors trying to play with heart alone to decide this region championship.
Well, a good friend of mine coaches over at Flowery Branch, and he goes, man, we play you all and and Gainesville and Appalachia, boom, boom, boom. And I said, yeah. And we play you all and Gainesville right back-to-back. I said, you look at this region, and it's just hard to fathom how many good teams are in it.
It is.
It's going to be neat to see what happens. The other biggie, besides the Marist coming to Clarke Central, number 2, Northside Warner Robins travels to number 8, Flowery Branch.
And that's got to be the game of the week in 5A alone. And, man, the Northside fans, they're all over the blogs, they're all over the internet, and they're going to bring a load of folks up there. And, when we talk about this game, what is it, number 2 in the state going up against number 7 or 8 in the state in some posts? I'm going to tell you what, Flowery Branch, and, I love you guys. Y'all been in our region. We've played y'all for 2 years. Y'all fixing to meet some big boys. This is some big boy football coming your way this week.
Yeah, I think Coach Riles was telling us today that they had 42 juniors on last year's Northside Warner Robins team. That's unbelievable.
Well, when we went down there for the playoffs last year, I quit counting after 100. They dressed out 120 on the sideline, and they just kept coming out of that end zone to run to the sidelines. But I've never, in all my days of watching high school football, I've never seen a bigger team and a quicker team than Northside Warner Robins. And on top of that, just the depth and just knowing they're probably 3 and 4 deep dressing out at every position. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Good game.
Some of the other games, August 31st, of course, that's going to be Friday night. Loganville is taking on Monroe, that's a huge county game ball right there. Appalachia's taking on Lanier. which is out of Gwinnett County, and Northgate is taking on Heritage. That ought to be a good game. Northgate was a playoff team the last 2 or 3 years. Of course, Heritage playoff team last year. That should be a good ball game.
Oh, yeah. And Northgate went, I think, to the third round maybe before they got knocked out. And then, of course, Heritage, I think, was it 2 rounds? They beat Rome and then I think got eliminated in the second round. So good matchup there right off the bat for those two teams.
Then another interesting ball game over in Conyers is Rockdale traveling 5 miles to take on Salem. That should be a good ball game.
That's kind of like our Clarke Cedar thing here. Those guys, they grow up with each other and they know each other. And in that game, no matter who's projected to do what, that game's always a nail biter. Always like 1 or 2 score difference.
No doubt about it. And then our one of Clarke Central's old coaches, Coach William Devane, now the head coach up at Hart County, is taking on Cedar Shoals. Coach Davis in his first ball game over there.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, these first-year coaches, and Flowery Branch's going through that too, but it takes a little while maybe to get that ball rolling when it's your first year. And this guy's coming in with a lot of enthusiasm. I think he coached down there in Florida.
Yeah, sure.
But I think he's the guy, and we'll see. He's going to have a stiff test. Hart County always plays you tough.
No doubt about it. Talking about another group that's well coached and always has a good ball club up there in Hartwell. The last game in the region, of course, Winder-Barrow taking on Jackson County.
Yeah, Winder-Barrow looking to end that 23-game losing streak. I think is where it's at now. So we'll see what the Double G Bulldogs do.
So there we go, going into August 31st, and that's what's happening around 8-5A. Some of the other games in the area you'll have to catch on the newspaper, of course, this week. But we wanted to really focus in on 8-5A and some of those big games around the state. And Buster, let's talk a little bit about Marist coming in. 100 years of football.
Yeah, Marist,
Coach Alan Chadwick over there just does a fabulous job year in, year out.
And you and Coach Rouse covered it a lot, too, on the last show, that these guys line up. They want to smash in the mouth. They want to play hard. They want to play tough in between the tackles. And if you ever look at some of Marist's scores from years past, never really gets past the 17, 18, 20-point mark. They like to control the clock. Mm-hmm. They like to keep the score low. They like to make you chase them. They like to score first, but, they remind me a lot of East Paulding. And I remember when East Paulding came in here, I think we touched the ball maybe 4 times the first half because they kept the ball on the ground and kept the clock moving.
They're going to grind it out on the ground.
That's right.
Not going to throw the ball much, and they're going to wear your defense down, and they're going to challenge you on defense.
Well, and it's just a tremendous challenge for Clarke Central, especially coming out of the gate, first game of the season. It's a good measuring sticks. Well, you want to see where you're at. All the talk about the polls and this and the state championship runs and stuff. If you belong here, belong there. This is as good as it gets. And then I found out just a couple of days ago this is a home and home thing for next year. So
next year we get to travel right there.
Wow.
Right inside the loop right there north of 285. And
I think it's within a stone's throw of a Steak and Shake, so that might be good.
There you go. How about that? One quick thing before we get into our GITV Players of the Week. This week in Georgia High School Football Daily, of course, nice little write-up about the 10 Georgia teams that have had national champs. And, of course,
the 10 that should have.
The 10 that should have. And, of course, our own Clarke Central Gladiators from 1985 was listed in there under Billy Henderson. Of course, 19 of those 24 starters signed
to play
football scholarships to play at the next level. And what a tremendous ball club.
Well, and some other little known facts about that 85 team. They won the state championship that year, 15-0, beat Warner Robins 21-7 right here at Billy Henderson Stadium, which back then was called Death Valley.
That's correct.
But there was 2 NFL players on that team. Yeah. Chuck Smith was just a sophomore. We know what he did. He went on to the Atlanta Falcons.
Right.
But the kicker was a freshman named John Casey. He's still playing, I think.
He sure is.
And that was 1985.
Yeah.
And there was also a pretty good baseball coach that played fullback on that team. I think goes by the name of Perno.
David Perno,
so
that's correct.
And team was low. There's a one coaching football right now in Tennessee.
At University of Tennessee, Derek Dooley. So
the team was loaded. And without a doubt, probably one of the most special teams that ever graced the halls of Clarke Central High School.
Yeah, and we just wanted to say that. And, of course, the 10 schools that have won national championships from the state of Georgia, 6 of those are Valdosta.
Yeah.
And then 2 of them are Warner Robins. So that just shows what that Warner Robins area has always had good football and continues to have good football.
Always.
And Buster, of course, let's talk about the Offensive GITV Player of the Week, and that honor goes to
Rodney Willingham. And I mean, I heard you and Coach Ross talking about it earlier. I guess they call him Skeet. That's
Skeeter.
His name now, Skeeter. Okay. And Rodney Willingham demonstrated his abilities, running, passing, catching. I think he's a tremendous asset for our offense.
There's no doubt. And in the scrimmage, nothing derogatory with Jelani Payne. Jelani Payne is a different type runner. Jelani is hard,
north-south,
tough, and he's going to get you those yards. But when Willingham came in, it seemed like we got just a little bit of a spark.
Right, and he scored 2 touchdowns, which was half of our points. So we gave him the nod on the offensive GITV Player of the Week.
And
good job, Rodney Willingham.
Good job, Rodney. And, of course, the defensive GITV Player of the Week, the honor goes to
Drico Statham,
number 17. Drico
one of my favorite Gladiators, and he had a block punt. And, of course, he finished 3rd all-time in interceptions last season with 7, and Drico picking right up where he left off, and he had a great game, and even had a couple of pass catches on the offensive side of the ball.
He gives a little bit of a spark right there on the offensive side. His speed, he beat young man down the sidelines one play, and just a little bit overthrown, or he would have had a touchdown also. So Drico had a real big night.
Yeah. 2 good guys there, and that's something we're going to look forward to doing each and every week this year is give out the GITV Offensive and Defensive Players of the Week, and our hats off to them, big salute, and again, here we go. We're getting ready for Friday. It's Wednesday, and I don't know what I'm going to do between now and then except just hope and pray that we're strong, we bring our A game, and we're ready for a big challenge.
Well, it's going to be an interesting year. We're looking forward to it. 2012, of course, new region, something to look forward to. Big ball game here Friday night against Marist War Eagles coming to town, 7:30 start. We're going to be live on GITV at ClarkeCentralGITV.com at 7 p.m. We're going to get started early this week with Holly Ward interviews and Buster and I up in the booth. And, of course, can't do anything without our technician engineer, Chris Crumpton. He gets it all done for us and does a great job.
One-man band, one-man show. He's doing it all behind the scenes. So
hopefully we'll have our statistician with us. And we're looking forward to a big year here with the Gladiators starting off Friday night, August 31st, against the Marist War Eagles. Once again, we ask you to join us at ClarkeCentralGITV.com. And Buster, getting excited.
I'm ready. Let's get it on. Let's bring Friday on now. Let's just skip tomorrow.
There you go.
All right.
A lot of big games around the area. We hope you can catch them. And always remember, if you can't make it out, check us out on ClarkeCentralGITV.com. But you're doing yourself a disfavor if you can't go out on a Friday night and check out somebody's high school football team. For Buster Crumpton, I'm Chuck Wegman. Thank you for joining us, the GITV Football Forecast Show. We want to thank our sponsors, of course, Athens Chevrolet, the Morris Center, Bulldog Signs, and Raising Cane Chicken Fingers. Thank you and good night.